Yeah. Oh, still not used to this, which is kind of weird because like I kind of grew up like loving being on the stage and being in commercials and stuff like that. So, I mean, this shouldn't be that weird, but when you're talking to yourself in an empty room, it's kind of weird. So, looking at my list of videos I'm supposed to make here. Oh, there's my coffee. I've been wondering all day where that went. So much better. So, real brief, you're getting ready to head into a module that is exploring the concept of political science. So, when we're in elementary school and when we're in middle school, even when we're in high school, we hear about different classes. We hear about social studies, American history, government, world history, world religions, sociology, psychology, economics, financing, accounting, business, and the list goes on and on and on. All right. What's unique about all these different forms of study is the reality that they're all under one branch of thought, social sciences. All right. The social sciences is the concept of understanding or exploring why a society or groups of people do what they do. Basically, we're trying to figure out what humans do. And if you've been around long enough for just 2020, I'm sure you have a lot of questions about why people do what they do. Right? Right. So here's your objective. You're going to explore 3 videos, a definition, and then you're going to construct your own thoughts on what is political science. Right. You might be sitting there going, but I'm not taking a science class except for the one with Mrs. Geyer. Yes and no. One of the unique arguments about political science is that it is the bridge between all major core studies. If I'm studying political science, I have to be able to research. I have to be able to read. I have to be able to process information. All that ability falls in the realm of ELA. When I'm studying political science, though, I have to be able to look at statistics. I have to look at data. I have to compile numbers, look at populations, growth trends, statistics, data, graphing points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So to study political science means I have to be well-versed in math. But if I'm studying political science, that means that I'm creating theories and I'm creating hypotheses and I'm investigating and I'm researching and I'm testing and I'm going back and I'm studying and I'm reevaluating and I'm retesting and I'm challenging hypotheses and I'm debating these different topics. So in order to understand political science, I have to be able to understand science. See my point? Political science, this study, covers all realms of information. It's more than what we actually grasp. On your list of classes for this year, it says very clearly, 8th grade American history. You've been told you're going to 8th grade American history. In fact, you're inside a classroom that's studying 8th grade American history, right? Wrong. This is where I kind of buck the trend a little bit. If history is taught in isolation, meaning all we do is focus on history, the truth is, none of us really care. Great. Stories about a bunch of old dead white guys. How exciting. How does this impact me? It doesn't, right? So the secret to understanding history is to be able to take what we know as fact from history and to expand it into the modern day. If I look at moments of history and I study what humans do then, or did then, and then I look at what humans are doing now, if what they're doing is similar, can I make a hypothesis that we're getting ready to repeat the same thing that we had in the past? Perhaps. Or if I look at places such as Minnesota, Wisconsin, Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, and other states around the United States that have been plagued by violence and protesting on all sorts of different sides, a lot of those I can trace all the way back to the 1600s inside North America. Meaning I have to understand history to be able to understand where we're at today. And I can't change the future unless I have a strong grasp in both of those. That is political science. It's taking everything about humanity and compiling it together in one major data set and making conclusions about it, making predictions about it, and reflecting on it. So in a lot of ways, Social studies has been viewed for years inside the United States as the easy class. Every social studies teacher I had in high school and middle school were coaches, sports coaches specifically. Now, I was fortunate because they were also very good teachers, but you didn't find a lot of coaches in math or ELA or science. In fact, when it came down to state testing, like MAP testing, if you haven't noticed, there's no test for social studies. Just the other three. You have science this year. Why is that? It's because we haven't put a strong of emphasis into the social sciences or the political sciences as we have other areas. Whether that's right or wrong is not the discussion for today. We'll have that conversation throughout this year. And by the end of it, I think you might have a different perspective on it. But for now, I want you to take some things that I just said, some thoughts. I want you to go back through those videos that are linked in here also. They're from the United Kingdom about actual social sciences and their beliefs on what the social sciences really are, like quantifying them. I want you to explore a definition from Investopedia, I think. Investopedia on what is social sciences. And finally, in the bottom of this module, I want you to explain in your own words, what is political science? What is this study? What is it that we're actually trying to learn about everything around us? That's the whole point. That's the mission for you to accomplish. It's crucial and critical for you to be able to process this before we can dive into any parts of history. Before we explore pre-revolution, the revolution, before we explore wars and slavery and all these different elements of North America, we first have to understand how a social scientist thinks. And to do that, we must first understand what is a social scientist, or as like I would like to put it, a political scientist. That's your objective, all right? I'm always available. You know how to contact me. Ask me your questions, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. Use your resources. And yes, you can explore outside of those resources for a better understanding as well, all right? I believe in you. Use your brains. This is hard stuff, but it's necessary for you, not as students, as citizens.